Welcome back to another episode of TPC. Let's do the Week 13 college football predictions. This week is not too crazy, if anything. There's a couple good games. A couple games trying to battle for each other for, playoff contentions, of course. Let's head off a little quick of Friday night. NC State beat Florida State. My big thoughts about Florida State. They were ranked for a little while, okay? In the first couple weeks, like the first 5 weeks, okay? Then they lost to Virginia. They haven't been the same. I think they need to fire their coach. They need to fire Mike Novell, if I can say his name right, if that's his name. This team fell off pretty much. I mean, coming in, they were unranked. They had the win over Bama in week 1, looking red hot, looking like they're the favorite to win the ACC this year, and then they fell off. And it's kind of hurting. I mean, CJ Bailey went off in that game a little bit, but this program, Florida State, man, you forget they were undefeated. We forget that. They won the ACC. They were undefeated, about to make the playoffs, and Jordan Travis got hurt and then fell off. And last year they went 1-10, I believe, 1-12. I don't even know. I forgot their record. And then this year, 5-6, and they got to win next week to get a bowl eligibility to go 6-6. And they got to play Florida State next week at Florida, at Florida next week against DJ Lagway and those guys. If DJ Lagway doesn't get benched though. I don't know what's going on, but NC State, man, winning that game was very impressive, though. UNLV beat Hawaii also last night. Competitive game right there. UNLV, they're my favorite to win the MAC right now. If anything, they're a very solid team, very competitive team. They're not going to make a playoff contention, of course, though, not like Boise State, but they're my favorite. Dan Mullen has done phenomenal in that program. He might honestly go to a SEC maybe next year or a competitive team next year. We'll see, because kind of a bridge spot for these former coaches to go over there. So, yeah. Well, let's start off the Saturday slate. Ohio State versus Rutgers. Ohio State dub right there. Virginia Tech versus Miami. Virginia Tech just got James Franklin. I know he's not going to be the coach until next year, of course. I think Miami should win that game, ranked number 13, after getting a very comfortable win last week at home against, I believe it was NC State, 41-7. But the thing is, this is their second road game this year. And we saw the last time they were on the road against SMU, and they lost that game in overtime. Carson Beck looked horrible in that game with 2 interceptions, 1 crucial pick in the end zone. Kind of sealed the deal for them losing that game against SMU. If they can figure it out and Carson Beck doesn't force turnovers and the defense does their job, I think they should win this game. Because Virginia Tech, they're more focused on next year and getting commits for James Franklin starting his new era right now, if anything. So that's my opinion with all that kind of stuff. SMU versus Louisville. This game is a very interesting game right here, okay? Right now, if you look at the standings for ACC football, okay? We look at the standings. Right now, you got Georgia Tech right now first with 1 loss, Virginia with 1 loss, and SMU with 1 loss, and Louisville with 3 losses right now. Okay, SMU needs this game pretty much to help them shot to make the playoffs pretty much with 3 losses, and we know the other 2 losses are from Big 12 teams also. The game is at, if I'm correct, at SMU. Okay. SMU, if they can win this game against Louisville, because Louisville's been falling off after losing the Cal, after losing, let's overall just look at their schedule, okay? Losing Virginia, game-winning field goal, okay? Cal, overtime. And last week, a 1-point game against Clemson, okay? You were home for that game, and you lost to Clemson, and Clemson and I am in a competitive team. Your playoff contention is done right now, pretty much. It's pretty much done. You're just pretty much battling for a shot to even... You made a bowl already with 7 wins already, but you kind of shot yourselves in the foot after losing that Cal game and losing 1 point. And they're a competitive team, okay? This could be a very competitive game, if anything. I believe, Miller Moss and Isaac Brown have a phenomenal game with Lacey also, the receiver, and Bell also. So I know these guys can do their job. The big factor is this team shot themselves so many times in this foot, and they kind of shot themselves out of the playoff contention. They were right there, top 15, looking like they're going to make the playoffs, and then they shot themselves in the foot. So they need this win pretty much to even have I don't know. They'll go 8 they'll finish the year maybe 9-3 or 8-4 right now. That's what it's looking like right now, if anything. But SMU, if they have this win, they're right there in the mix still with a shot, and with only 1 loss, with it up there with Virginia and Georgia Tech right there. Could finish the year with only three losses this year. Go 9-3. They just got to finish as competitive, and they just need some kind of little focus on Virginia losing another game or Georgia Tech loses another game, if anything, right there. Okay. But I'll take SMU in this game right there. I do think Kevin James, those guys will get the dub, and I fully believe that. And Louisville just fell apart this year. Okay, let's talk about this game right here. OU versus Missouri, very competitive game right here. I know Pribula is not, he's not playing this game. I do not think he is, if I'm correct. He's on track to return. Okay, Pribula. Okay, I did not know that. If Pribula is playing this game, this could be a very interesting game because, after getting the win, of course, over. Okay, he's questionable. He is questionable for this game. Should be interesting. And if he plays this game, coming back off an injury, we could see a competitive game. I know John Mateer in the offense looked really phenomenal against Alabama on the road last week. Looked really competitive. Ranked number 8 right now. After, they were number 11, now ranked number 8. This game's going to be competitive. And it's at OU. The Sooners they're favored by this game by, I think, 5.5 right here. Yep, 5.5. And if Pribula plays this game, I think that Missouri can win this game. I really like Missouri's offense. With Hardy's been really phenomenal this year, and Kevin Coleman Jr. has been really good this year. So those guys right there are very competitive. But if Pribula's not playing this game, I trust John Mateer and those guys to get the dub in a comfortable fashion. I mean, the receiver corps is really good with Isaiah and Deion Brooks, really good. And the defense of Thompson, of course, and Lewis at the back end, really good. But the secondary is very lackluster. We know that. But they had a competitive game right there with Alabama. Alabama shot themselves in the foot that game. Too many turnovers. Not even turnovers. Missed opportunities. Dropping balls. Not looking focused. And they just thought they were just dominant against OU. But OU owns Bama pretty much, back-to-back years. But if Missouri can get this win on the road, they're still in the mix for a shot for, not a playoff contention. 3 losses is just very tough right there. I mean, you look at their things. That Bandy game, very competitive game right there. That A&M game, they didn't have a quarterback at all. But you look at their losses against Vanderbilt. Pribula got hurt, and Solers had the ball at the 1, and then pretty much could have won the game. But it's just, that is. And Alabama, Pribula threw an interception to one of the defensive backs, I think Brown or something like that, and sealed the game right there. And then A&M, it was a blowout. So they have to have a miracle. I think they're bowl eligibility already. So, I mean, if they can finish the year 9-3, if they get this win over OU's playoff chances gone. OU's trying to battle for the chance to go finish the year 10-2, maybe a conference play if anything. But I think Missouri, if Pribula's playing this game, I do trust that team. And the defense with Trott and Wilson have been very solid this year. Trott's one of the best linebackers in the country, and Wilson's been one of the best edge rushers also in the SEC play. Very competitive game, very underrated game. Definitely going to tune in this game. So I do think this game is going to be very competitive, but I think Missouri's going to go on the road and win this game if Pribula wins this game, if he's in the game. But if he's not, John Mateer and those guys should get the win easily. So, Georgia plays Charlotte, dub right there. James Madison still trying to battle for a playoff contention. They'll get the win over Washington State. I do like James Madison. They're a solid team. They deserve a shot for the playoffs if they're undefeated over American, honestly, if they finish here undefeated. That's my opinion on that. Bama versus Eastern Illinois. Bama easily. Nothing like the SEC. This is SEC's cakewalk pretty much of this week. Notre Dame versus Syracuse. Notre Dame should get that win. Vanderbilt versus Kentucky Vanderbilt should get the win over them. Texas, after losing the game against Georgia last week after getting destroyed against Arkansas, he played this week. It's going to be a high scoring game. I think Texas should win this game, but it's going to be a high scoring game, high environment. Texas fair 8.5. The offense is going to look red hot. This is a little test game. Get the offense red hot, because guess what? Who you got next week? You got Aggies next week, and I'm maybe going to the game. I don't know yet. We'll see. If I go to the game, definitely going to record. Again, it's going to be a phenomenal game. Great environment right there. But Texas should get this win over Arkansas because Arkansas, their defense sucks, but they have good offense, though. That's a big thing I got to say right there. Duke versus North Carolina. Very Blue Devils right there. The blue teams facing each other pretty much. I think Duke should get that win, though. Tulane versus Temple. Tulane is trying their best to make a playoff contention for the American right now. I think they should win this game, but the thing is, Tulane, I don't believe in Tulane. I believe in UNT. Tulane is not my team. I don't like Tulane. They don't deserve a shot. They're 2-loss team right now. Losses to UTSA and losses to Ole Miss, okay? That UTSA loss was bad. It was a bad loss. And now you got to get Temple at Temple, and if you lose this game against Temple, I don't... It doesn't look good on a resume. It doesn't. I think UNT is a better team. I think UNT deserves to be in the playoff contention. They have a better offense, a better team overall. The defense is very mid. I gotta say that. I think Tulane's defense is better, but I take Drew over the current quarterback, Zarkov. That's my opinion on it. So yeah, Tulane should get that win though. Yeah, let's talk about the game of the week in my opinion. Because let me see these games. Is there any more crazy games? Yeah, the game of the week pretty much. USC versus Oregon right here. Okay. It is at the Trojans, I believe. No, at Oregon. My bad. Oregon's favorite 10.5. Ooh, wow. Both these teams have one loss right now in their play. Okay, both these teams. Dante Moore looking solid right now after a couple weeks of playing. I think. Let me see who they played last week. I think did they have a bye last week? Okay, they dominated Minnesota last week. Okay, 42-13, and they had a close game against Iowa on the road. Dante Moore didn't look that good, but he had a phenomenal game against Minnesota. Okay, the offense against lower tier defense, we know they can do their job. Okay, USC, they have a solid defense, not the craziest defense, but they're both one-losses teams. Okay, both one-losses for playoff contention. Okay, if USC wins this game, Oregon's done. Playoff contention is done. USC, playoff contention is right there. Only 2 losses to, I believe it was Notre Dame, and your other loss is Illinois, and it was a 2-point game right there. Game-winning field goal, I remember that. If they don't have that loss, it could have been a whole different resume right there. Their offense is, I mean, I know their defense is so lackluster, but I believe that offense with Jaden and Lane and Lemon, very solid right there. The defense, I don't know too much about their defense right now. Because I just know Lincoln Riley always has a decent offense. I don't know too much about their defense. I think Shelby, 3.5 sacks this year for the leading team. Nothing crazy. But the thing is, though, Oregon, just the running back is a committee. We know that. Okay, Dakota Moore is right now the leading receiver. You have Tutu also. Sadiq is going to be back in this game also. And you still have Butcher, and you still got Dylan in the back end. The team is solid. Okay, Oregon has the better team, but I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. And whoever has the last possession of the ball is going to win this game. It's going to be a very competitive game. It's going to be an old Pac-12 game pretty much. Can't wait to watch this game. But I'm going to take the Ducks in this game. I think the Ducks are going to win this game at home, continue their pushes for the playoff contention. And USC, their playoff contention is done, and it will hurt them. But if they somehow pull this win, and we get a chance to see USC versus OU, just saying, would be very interesting right there. But give me the Ducks in this game. I think Dante Moore and those guys will figure it out and take a big dub right here and continue their push for the playoffs. So yes. And other than that, Utah versus K-State, very competitive game right there. I think Utah should get this win, trying to push for the playoffs, of course. K-State, we thought they were a red hot team at the beginning of the year. Thought they were ranked number, I think, 16 this year, coming in preseason rankings, and they just fell off completely and just terrible play. Maryland versus Michigan, very trap game right here right now. Both the 4 freshman quarterbacks, Malik Washington versus Bryce Underwood, pretty much kind of future of the Big Ten right here. Very competitive game. I think I'm going to be, Michigan's favorite 14.5. It's at Maryland. Don't be surprised if Maryland somehow pulls the upset. Michigan didn't move any rankings last week after their game against Northwestern, after kicking that game-winning field goal on the road. If they could figure this out, they're on a winning streak right now with four wins right now after losing the game against USC at USC with only 1 loss right now in the Big 12, Big 10. This game's going to be competitive. It's going to be right there. I think Bryce Underwood and these guys should get the win, but don't get me wrong. Malik Washington, those guys are going to figure it out with Finley at the tight end position. They'll figure it out. And 3 o'clock game, Michigan's trying to compete for themselves right now. I know Maryland's 1-6 right now in conference play, but the thing is, you look at their games, Maryland. Every game has been, other than Indiana, it's been a 1-score game pretty much. Okay, never mind. Illinois was a bad loss too. Okay, they've been not looking good in conference play. Never mind. I don't know. It's going to be a competitive game. I just don't be surprised if they somehow make it decent, or it's going to come down to the last second. Because we saw this last week against Northwestern, Preston Stone had a phenomenal game almost against Michigan's defense. If this freshman can do that, Malik Washington, I could not be surprised. Because Knotts has been solid for the team, Seward, but you look at the team. You have Marshall's been the lead carry right now for this team for Michigan right now, because after Haynes' injury, I believe he's not playing right now. If I'm correct with that. So Jordan Marshall's been the main carrier right now, 10 touchdowns right now. But yeah, and you still got Marsha as a receiver right now, and then you still got Moore off the edge. Very solid right there for this team. So this is gonna be a competitive game, but I think Michigan should win this game. But if they don't, But then if they win this game, they host Ohio State, and that game pretty much decides if they somehow ruin Ohio State's another undefeated year, it's gonna be hilarious. They just will own Michigan forever. My bad. Michigan owns Ohio State forever, pretty much. It's just that'll be hilarious. But give me Michigan in this game. Georgia Tech versus Pitt right here is a very competitive game right here. Both these teams, I believe, have one loss in conference play. Yes, one loss. Okay. If Pitt wins this game, Pitt's first pretty much. They have 6 wins right now, 6-1, and I know they only have 3 losses this year after losing the game against Notre Dame last week in a blowout fashion. Jermell Love just hitting spin moves on this game. Georgia Tech, they should find a way to win this game. They're fair at 2.5 in this game. This only came down to the last minute because last week they almost lost to Boston College on the road, and it came down to a game-winning field goal pretty much for this team. I believe it was a game-winning field goal or a 2-point conversion. I don't know. It was 36-34 right there. This game, if Georgia Tech loses this game against Pitt, Georgia Tech, you're done. Playoff chances are done, and pretty much it just builds a resume of the ACC. If they somehow choke the way of not having a playoff contention team this year, it would be hilarious because that means a Sun Belt or American team is going to make it over the ACC. That's what it's looking right now if Georgia Tech loses this game against Pitt. I think, I'm going to take Pitt. I'm going to take Pitt in this game. I think Pitt's going to pull the upset. I think Pitt's going to pull the upset against Georgia Tech, and I think Georgia Tech is going to fall. I just don't trust Georgia Tech. The game against Boston College last week, and after losing a couple games on their stretch, because they should honestly be 2 games stretch right now. Their defense has been looking terrible right now the past 2 games. Against NC State, CJ Baylor went off against them with his 3 touchdowns in that game. Phenomenal game by his effort. They just got to figure things out on the defensive side, and the offense is doing good. King, it's just defense just looking terrible right now. That's my opinion on it, but give me Pitt and those guys. I think Pitt's defense is going to figure it out and think they can lock it down on Georgia Tech's side. So, yeah. Tennessee versus Florida, give me Tennessee. Illinois versus Wisconsin, give me Illinois. BYU versus Cincinnati. Okay, Cincinnati, this game's a very competitive game right here, okay? Right now, both these teams are trying to forge out for the playoff contention. Cincinnati did lose last week in their game. Against Arizona, came down to a 7-point game, and after losing in a blowout fashion against Utah, this game's going to be competitive. I think BYU's still trying to figure it out themselves, to put themselves in the playoff contention. If they lose this game, just get ready for Utah in the playoff, for Utah to be in the Big 12 championship pretty much. But if BYU wins this game, they're kind of slitting themselves in that championship pretty much right there. But Cincinnati has a lot of chances to wreak havoc. It's a 7 o'clock game at Cincy. I think Bear and those guys and LJ Martin, they're going to figure it out. I think these guys got it. I don't think they're going to choke again. I mean, they blew the crap out of TCU last week in a 44-13 effort right there. So they should get this win. Their favorite, I believe, 2.5. BYU's favorite 2.5 in this game. Holy cow! Wow. I mean, Martin's been the main factor. Chase Roberts, of course, also with it, and Kelly. That's the big thing with this team. If they just lose this game against, Brendan Sosby, or I believe his name is Sosby, Strasby, my bad. That would be very pathetic. It would. Excuse me. That would not look good on their resume. And that will shoot themselves in the playoff because they're the first teams out right now looking at the playoff contention. And, I mean, if they do get that rematch, if they win this game, get the rematch against Texas Tech at AT&T, it's going to be a very competitive game. They just got to show up on the offense. I mean, Bear has to show up. I know he's a true freshman, but for them to win that game, they got to show up. A couple other games, Arizona State versus Colorado. I think Arizona State should win that game against Colorado because, Colorado's just cheer for next year, bro. UCLA versus Washington. Give me Washington this game. Pretty much a lot of teams of the Pac-12 facing each other this week. A lot of former Pac-12 up from the Big Ten are facing each other. So, kind of a interesting schedule of this week. Look at the latest of this other schedules. South Florida versus UAB. I think South Florida should win that game. Trying to put themselves back in the category of that. But other than that, that is all the games for the week. So thank you all for joining me for this episode of TPC, and like and subscribe.